Hey everyone, and welcome to The Hard Road. I'm Josh Blais, and this is,
Thomas Harrington.
and we are going to be doing a podcast together over the next forever.
Forever, for sure.
Forever. Essentially talking about business, mindset, and kind of lifestyle and everything that we've kind of learned as entrepreneurs up until this point. This is going to be a pretty rough episode, I'm not going to lie, but we'll see how it goes. And I guess today, let's talk a little bit about each other, ourselves, how we know each other, and also a little bit about what we envision the hard road becoming down the road. So do you want to start us off or talk about yourself?
Yeah, sure. I guess so. Right. So I guess for about us and how we know each other, I believe the first time we met was when we played hockey together. I want to say that was grade 4, if memory serves correct.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And then so we go back through junior high. We were friends, and then, but more in recent years, and as you know, people who know us know we were business partners directly through real estate. We had a team that was just us two. That went on for, I want to say, about 2 years, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and as for me, like I'm still a realtor, actively working as a realtor here in Edmonton. Now, I think it's important that, for me, I've always felt that was more entrepreneurship than a normal job. Most people think of it as a sales job, and I think that's quite a mistake, especially when you compare it to, any other industry, and it's important to treat it as a business. And we'll kind of get into that, and I think we could do a few episodes on, call it the realtor podcast or whatever, right?
Oh, so, absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. As for me, that's kind of my most active venture right now, and we'll probably talk about this, but Josh and I have another venture right now, just a small side hustle that I think we're going to document. Right now, we're probably not going to share too many details, but it's a very common side hustle that is very much recommended out there by, a lot of, I don't know, powers that be, the Twitterverse, your popular, your popular entrepreneur podcast, whatever you want to call it. And, I really want to be transparent about that and kind of what we're doing, where the issues are. And then that way we can kind of give you guys, not a blueprint, but just kind of show that it's possible and what to do. And, a lot of what's out there I've found, and, this is going to tie back to what we want to do with this show, is we're kind of looking at a lot of people at the finish line, right? So you have your Gary Vaynerchuk's, your Grant Cardones out there, telling you what to do, how to do it, who have made it, if you will.
Absolutely.
And that can feel a very long ways away when you're just starting out. And, that's, those are guys we learn from, but we kind of want to show our progress so far and kind of document our journey as it continues. Now, I guess I've kind of crossed paths into what we've done together, but we'll backpedal a little bit. So if you want to talk about yourself, Josh.
Absolutely. I mean, bro, you left out the band in grade 8 and grade 9.
Yeah, forget. Reunion tour, summer 2019. Look out for that.
Yeah, we used to play music together when we were in grade, I guess, 8 and 9. I was the lead singer. Thomas was the lead guitarist. And yeah, I mean, my voice is beautiful, so you can imagine how that one went. But I mean, we started an irrigation company together as well with one of our buddies in Edmonton over just the course of a summer during university. And I mean, that did pretty decently as well. So we've had a couple of ventures together for sure. Mm-hmm. I guess, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, yeah, I think, for us, that was kind of our first foray. And one thing that we kind of clued into was, we've actually been, since we started that company, that was about 5 years ago. So we've been doing the self-employed, start your own business, kind of walking the walk for 5 years. And we, that irrigation business still technically exists. We didn't exactly make millions of dollars doing it, but we actually turned a decent profit, and we were still in university. So I think that was kind of our first start, and that has absolutely springboarded into our paths and career paths and life paths. And I think that was part of the show, because we've been doing this for most of our adult lives, right?
Absolutely.
And then
last half decade.
Conversely, and I don't mean to get ahead of you, but and you can kind of touch on this, but we also started our own real estate brokerage together, and you don't hear that name Veritas Realty around anymore, and there's a reason for that, because it did fail, right? So I think I'll hand it back over to you to maybe glaze on that and get back to who you are.
Well, I mean, we always got to talk about our failures and also our successes, but I guess more about myself is that I also got started in the real estate business with Thomas when we were fresh out of university. So I guess that would have been the winter of 2015 going into 2016. For you, you actually started in August of.
Yeah, it was August 2015.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Jesus Christ, 4 years ago already for you, man.
Yeah. Hey, it's certainly been. It's been a while, right? I mean, it's good and bad, right? Like you start to feel more established, but then when you think back to when when I first started, and you frankly thought you would be a little bit further ahead than maybe I am now, and not that I'm not doing well, but and maybe that's something to talk about as well. Is just kind of you're going to face setbacks and challenges and stuff, and it's not it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but we both started in that business very young, and for me, I'm grateful I did, because now we're getting more to home buying age, more friends are getting there, more people we know, whether it's friends or friends of friends or acquaintances who are becoming realtors. For me, I'm a little more established, so that helps my business, and I can also kind of share my experiences here, right? So
absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, I did it for, I guess, 2.5 years. My intention with it always was to kind of start a business around real estate, not necessarily selling homes or anything like that. And I think we'll touch about that with Veritas Realty and all that too. But since then, I've essentially parlayed my real estate career into a broker position with a company that I started called Revere. And we're essentially a tech company now. We do a lot of like marketing and online stuff for agents in Edmonton specifically right now, but looking to do some stuff over here in Montreal, where I currently reside. I guess we should talk a little bit about that too, maybe in a later date. But so that, and then I also started a clothing line called Sapien Athletica that has to do with some circumstances that I went through about 5 years ago, and wanting to kind of help some people out with that have experienced similar circumstances as myself. And I'm sure we'll touch on that down the road too. But
yeah, circumstances is a good word for it. But
absolutely. So, but yeah, like other than that, I mean, growing up, I always played hockey. I was always kind of that into that sort of team atmosphere and working hard and kind of going that direction with my life. I always knew that I would do something business related. I didn't really want to fall into some sort of path that didn't allow me to do my own thing. And getting to know Thomas over the past I think it's been almost 13
little while now.
Yeah. Like, I mean, we've kind of gone down the same road in that regard. So it's kind of cool to spitball ideas off of each other, and I mean, start new ventures together and do that sort of thing. So, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think an interesting thing would be something to think about is how our paths kind of got directed this way. And you briefly said it, but for something that I think is really interesting is Josh's dad was self-employed, right? For pretty much almost all of our childhoods, or as long as we've known each other. And I think that's really interesting, because that would have had a very profound impact for sure on you. And like
Absolutely.
you said, you kind of always knew. For me, I'm kind of conversely the opposite, where I came from more of like a corporate background, if you will. But part of that too was for me, going to school, like we both went to McEwen. I took an accounting degree, and for me, the reason I did it was probably when I first switched to McEwen, when I was picking a major, was because of the safety of it. And I think that's the reason a lot of people pick an accounting degree is, it's a very structured career path. It's very safe. It's not too hard to get a job with something semi-relevant with it.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, all those things I just said kind of felt like cons to me, right? So, and I think with any kind of entrepreneurs, the more you get into it, is there's almost a level of like, I try to dress it up and say, for me, looking at like and no offense to anyone, but kind of a traditional 9-to-5 work week and stuff, it just didn't click to me. Like I just didn't really like the structured routine. But I also think there's a part of you that's kind of like laziness. Like you don't want to do that, or maybe you feel there's a better way. And I think that's why maybe, felt like trying to step outside the boundaries a little bit started to make a lot more sense to me, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on like 5 different subjects there that we can do an entire show on. Like boredom with entrepreneurialism, and I mean, like kind of wanting to step out of the norm and being okay with uncertainty and stuff like that too, is all the stuff I think we're going to talk about. But I guess, I mean, that's pretty much a little bit about myself and a little bit about yourself and how we've kind of, our paths have crossed. But I guess for this show, our intention with it is to really like document the journey. And because I mean, like you were saying with like Grant Cardone, like with Gary Vaynerchuk, with like Elon Musk, or like any like Jeff Bezos, or whatever level you want to be on, like you only ever really see like the finished product. You don't really see like the what it took to get there. And I mean, people talk about overnight successes and stuff, but really at the end of the day, it's like it's a 20-year journey most times, right? And people always look at the successes as opposed to like the failures and the hard times and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that had ever stuck with me about entrepreneurialism is that the hard times are the best times. They're the fun times. They're the times in where you're building something, and you're always going to look back on those times, as opposed to whenever it is that you reach your success, whatever that means for you personally. So I think that that's going to be one of the big things that we talk about. And obviously the ventures that we are both individually and together working upon are obviously going to be huge subject of conversation in there.
And if I can just tack on to that, I think a point we want to drive home is that like, we're not done. We're not coming about this as if we are done, as we're the experts. And now, okay, this is how you do it. This is 100% the way it's going to go. We're not here to like, sell you like a coaching program or something. It's more so share. I mean, granted, after a few years of doing this, we're a bit ahead of the pack. We've learned some hard lessons, and, how can you apply these to your life? But I think this is very much a going forward thing, and kind of like, let's learn and delve into these subjects together. And together doesn't just mean us two. It means anyone who might care or be interested or want to listen to us. So,
yeah. And I mean, getting people on the show that are doing similar things, or even, like wanting to get into a venture or whatever. Like, I mean, I have people talk to me all the time, like about like, how are you doing that? Or like, why are you doing that? Or whatever. And it's just kind of like, I had a girl the other day talk to me about like, how do you like launch a certain product, or how do you do that sort of thing? And I mean, that's stuff we can all talk about. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about taking the hard path in life, because the hard path in life is where you reach the successes that you really want. Taking the easy path leads to a harder life than if you were to take the hard path for 5-10 years of your life and really focus on what you can be doing to kind of give yourself freedom in this world. And we live in the best time ever to be alive because we have the internet, we have the technology is continually growing and changing. And I mean, there's just so much exciting about what's going on right now that the potential for you to build some sort of freedom for yourself it's never been easier. It's also never been more difficult because there's always so much like fluff and information that, like, I mean, you could literally sit around reading things for the rest of your life and you're never going to scratch the surface, right? So it's all about really taking action today and working on that sort of thing, because that's what leads to you building some sort of success for yourself. So that's kind of at least my take on what I think the podcast is going to end up becoming. Who knows? I mean, you and I have always been kind of along the lines of like jump first, ask questions later type of thing.
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly. Ready, fire, aim, I guess. And I think I stole that quote from someone, but
I think it's a book, man.
Yeah, I think so. But, kind of jump into it and figure it out as you go along. And yeah, I think, and I mean, this isn't just, business how-to. This isn't just for specific to entrepreneurs. We're not trying to tell you to quit your job tomorrow and start a company. In fact, I'd probably tell you to do the opposite, start it on your side hustle or whatever. But I think the main goal here is more mindset is probably the overarching idea. And then that ties into business entrepreneurship, and we're obviously one end of the spectrum being gainfully self-employed, such as we are. So if you're more of a career person, there's probably lessons you can take from us and apply it to you as well. Like that, you're not excluded by any means. And I think a big part of this is that life is business, business is life. People talk about work-life balance, and I think Josh and I are very anti that because there really should be no defined lines between each, and that's part of kind of being on this self-improvement path, let's call it, where it needs to be multifaceted, right? So
treadmill of self-improvement.
yeah. And then one thing we have, and this is a gift and a curse, is being able to work from anywhere. As you know, Josh is in Montreal right now. Being able to work from home or from your coffee shop or whatever, like that level of freedom, it's tough, but it's a lot of fun to it, and it really makes life a hell of a lot more enjoyable. I can tell you that much.
Absolutely.
We kind of want to help teach people to do that, how we can better develop that and maybe share our experiences, the mistakes we've made. And I guess ultimately, kind of freedom and self-growth and mindset is more the focus here. And it all ties back to what we've done together and separately as businesses. So
absolutely. Well, I guess, do you want to, end this off? Do you have any final words for the introductory podcast, or?
No, I think that's it. We'll see how this goes. This is, I mean, these first few might be a little rough, so bear with us, but hopefully you're somewhat interested in what we have to say. And we've done some good work on what we're going to talk about. And I think we're going to get into some stuff that you'll find a lot of value in as someone listening to this. So stay tuned.
Absolutely. So yeah, guys, until next time, this is Josh signing off from Montreal, and
Thomas signing off from Edmonton as well.
And as always, take the hard road. Talk to you next time.